got 6:59 on my phone, so who knows what to believe in.
Okay. I would like to call to order the Tyrone Planning Commission meeting for this evening, June 10th, 2021, and ask for an approval of the agenda.
Aye.
Approval of the minutes from May 27th, 2021.
I'll second.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. We're ready to move on to a public hearing, or a series of public hearings. I want to remind everybody, if you have your cell phones with you, please silence them. If you'd like to speak during this time, either for or against these issues, there are forms there on the podium. I ask you to fill that out in advance. I think we are ready to go for the staff report.
All right, yes. So we have 4 public hearings before you this afternoon in regards to a number of properties at Tyrone Elementary School rezoning. We're going to be rezoning parcels 073802002022, and then the last couple of digits on these is parcels 036, 034, and 033. So those 4 parcels. Just a brief summary about the properties. Let me scroll to a map here real quick. So there are these 4 properties here, the larger parcel here, and then each one of the properties that actually has the building on it. So the Fayette County Board of Education has submitted a rezoning request for the above mentioned parcels where Tyrone Elementary School building is currently located. The expressed intent of this zoning is to actually bring the commercial activity occurring on the parcels into compliance with our current zoning regulations. Currently, the properties are zoned R12, which is a residential 1,200 square foot minimum home size. Despite this, the properties were previously used for educational purposes until the elementary school shut down. Since the closure of the school, the school board has leased the building out to businesses for their operations. Currently located is a dance studio and a catering company that uses the cafeteria. The applicant would like to property zone to C1, which is downtown commercial, which would allow those businesses to continue to operate in greater compliance with our zoning ordinance as it currently stands. In terms of the surrounding zoning, it's R12 to the east and to the west. I'm sorry, to the east is C1, to the west is R12, and then to the south is C1. To the north is also R12. It's 5.2 acres in total. Each one of the parcels equates to 5 acres in their combined. The petition to C1 is compatible with the comprehensive plan and the future development map. The properties lie within the town center character area, which allows for C1 zoning. They're also adjacent to other C1 zone properties. In terms of property history, we all know that it was at one time Tyrone Elementary, and it contains a large parking lot and now new sewer access. In terms of compatibility with the zoning ordinance, will it permit suitable uses with surrounding properties? The proposed zoning would permit suitable uses with the surrounding residential properties to the west and to the north and south. Will the zoning adversely affect adjacent property owners? No, it's not staff's opinion that it would harm any of the surrounding properties. There are pre-existing buffers between the school facilities and adjacent residential properties, although the school board does own most of the properties here to the north where the community garden is currently located. There's also existing parking capacity for these businesses as they stand. Do the properties have reasonable economic use as currently zoned? No, not necessarily, because the school's facilities are being preserved for future return to educational use. R12 is just not a feasible development for it, even if the school were not to return to that use, which we believe is their intent to reopen the school. Would the proposed zoning result in a use which would or could be excessively burdensome to existing infrastructure? It's not staff's opinion that these businesses or the occupancy of this building for business operations would impose an excessive burden on existing infrastructure. The school is probably the most intense use that could be located there, and the town was able to accommodate that school for quite some time, and we believe it will in the future. In terms of compatibility with the zoning ordinance, school boards are normally exempt from certain zoning regulations when used for educational purposes. Since this is being used for business purposes, it's staff's recommendation that it be approved but conditioned upon the combination of the 4 parcels mentioned here so that property lines are not cutting through the building. So we do recommend a condition that those properties be combined after rezoning in order to bring that into greater conformity with our ordinance, and we would recommend a 120-day period to accomplish that.
So with that being said, we will proceed into the actual public hearings. We'll have 2 portions. First portion for anyone who would like to speak in favor of this change, and time for anyone who would like to speak in opposition. Start with the first one, which is the 3.4 acre tract, parcel number 0738020022, from R12 to C1. Anyone who would like to speak in favor of this proposed zoning change, please come forward, state your name. Yes, please come to the microphone.
If you don't mind.
I'm Henry Sanick, and I've lived 2035 Castle Lake. I've been in Tyrone since 1977. I'm concerned about this meeting. Is it a public meeting or is it a private meeting? You have microphones in front of you. We can't hear a thing you're saying. Now, maybe they can, but I can't. And let's start using these microphones and let's start getting in information. I didn't hear anything that was said, and I'm concerned about it. You know, we've come up with a new system here, and I think our speaker system, or whatever the case might be, has got to be one of the worst around, because this isn't the only meeting. It's not only you folks, but it's council meetings and everything else. There's no volume in this thing. We can't hear anything. You're going to have to speak up if we're going to have a public meeting, so we can hear, so we can understand what's going on. So that's all finally, since I haven't heard anything about it, are we losing our school? Is that basically what this thing is going to amount to? I don't know, since I didn't hear it.
That's not the petition. That's not the petition before us.
Because I thought we were going to, since we got sewers in and availability, I thought we were going to open up a school here that we've had, one of the best schools we've had in the county.
I'll let the applicant speak to that if he wishes.
Okay. That's all I want to say. I mean, I'm not, I'm just trying to advise you of what's going on here so we can hear. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm Mike Sanders. I'm Assistant Superintendent of Operations, and I appreciate the opportunity to stand before you tonight. First of all, to answer his question, no, there is no intent of us selling the building. Long-term plans are to reopen the school when we have the numbers to do so. We've started moving forward a couple of years ago in planning, and because we'd have to add an addition, and we were waiting on sewer and those type things. But then it seems like every time we get ready to move forward with something, we have either a downturn in the economy or we have a pandemic. And so our numbers at this time just don't warrant us reopening the school. And so we feel like in order to preserve the school and maintain its viability and prevent it from becoming an eyesore and boarding it up, the use of with the Dance Academy has been a great partnership. I've been in the system for 5 years. This partnership was already in place when I moved in. But they have done just a phenomenal job of keeping the building up for us, and have been a great partner with us. The catering company recently have made some changes. We've had some issues, but they've addressed those for us, and we feel much better about that. And again, that's one of those things where that equipment that's in that building is being utilized, where otherwise it would have been sitting there for 6 or 7 years now, however long that the building's been closed. That was prior to me. So I'm here tonight representing the Board of Education. Our superintendent, Dr. Patterson's out of town, or else he would have been here. But I would certainly appreciate your consideration of this rezoning request, which would allow us to maintain doing what we've done with that building for the last several years. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
I also want to make sure, because we didn't discuss this beforehand, is the school board, or as a representative, are you comfortable with the condition that was mentioned in terms of combining the property after a 120-day period?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I don't have an issue with that.
All right, thank you.
Do I need to fill
Go
out
ahead and have a
this form?
seat for now. We'll continue the public hearing, and then if we have issues or questions, we'll bring those to you. Okay, if there's anyone else who would like to speak in favor of this change, please come forward at this time. None, I'll close that portion of the public hearing and ask for if there's anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this change. That portion of the public hearing, and now open it up for commission comments, questions, issues to the applicant, to staff.
I have a question. I understand that they're asking for the C1 rezoning. Is there another zoning classification for educational institutions currently in our, in our zoning?
There is. We have educational institutional, and we have O&I, which is office institutional. Those would be suitable mostly for a private school or perhaps a university. The school board, as mentioned earlier, if it's being used as a school, as another local kind of government entity, they would be exempt from certain kind of land use laws. So for the operations of the school, the zoning would be less relevant. We're just talking about the continued operation of the businesses that are helping sustain the school. But they would not be able to operate under an educational or an office institutional zoning.
Matter what the zoning is.
Okay, so the reason why I asked that question is because if the school decided to open back up as a school after we change if we change the zoning to C1 from R12,
It wouldn't have any impact
it
on
wouldn't
that.
have any
Correct.
impact. That's the
Correct.
reason why that question was asked.
This zoning change is for the businesses more than it is for the schools.
Okay,
Businesses that are there
that makes
now.
sense. Okay, thank you, Philip.
I have a question. Is there a reason why they don't combine or consolidate all the parcels, not just the ones that are touching the building?
I think combining all of the parcels could be an option, except that the rezoning is exclusively for these 4 parcels. So we can't combine parcels that are zoned differently. But the combination of these 4 parcels after they're rezoned would be easier to do, just because they'd be zoned the same. And the petition was just for those 4 parcels.
It's gonna look a little odd on the map with the R12, here, you know.
It,
three of them
it
combined
will,
in there.
it will, however, like we stated before, it's really just to kind of keep the business operations going, and it might look it'll probably permanently look a little bit less, a little bit more messy, so to speak, but if the school board opens back up, again, the exemption from local land use laws just makes that not as relevant.
So the parcel on the corner it would be remaining R12 and is owned by the school board.
Correct, yeah, that parcel in the corner, there's no rezoning petition for that one, and it would remain.
Okay.
But it's irrelevant anyway.
Once it opens up as a school, correct.
Okay, very
No
good.
building on that to be temporarily house a commercial endeavor anyway. It's just pretty much an open area with a driveway.
With the driveway loop there, yeah.
To Carl's point, though, the applicant did mention the potential of adding on to the existing building. If you, like, in your planning, if you decided to add on to that building before you had students, like, you know, and say, hey, we don't have the capacity to open the building yet, but we still built this wing out, would that exclude commercial use in an area that we don't potentially combine into this already? Does that
Yes,
make
sir. No, yeah, I understand exactly what
Okay.
you're asking us. When we come to the point where we're ready to reopen, the entire building is going to have to be renovated. So we would do all of that at one time. And at that point in time, when we start that planning process and working with our architects, that's when we would discontinue the leasing
Okay.
to the 2 businesses, because they would, yeah, no, sir, I don't foresee any reason or any way that we would be constructing while the businesses are still there, because we'd have to do it all at the same time.
Are the businesses that are currently operating, are they on annual leases right now, or are they month to month?
Month to month.
Okay.
Yes, sir. We have, I think, it's either a 30 or 60-day notice that we have to give. We stopped a couple of years ago when we started planning, thinking we were headed toward reopening. We went away from the annual lease to a month to month.
Okay, understand. Thank you.
Come on up.
Thank you.
Just state your name and address for the record. Oh, did we close the public? Oh, I apologize. We will actually have another public hearing session, so once we open it back up again, you can come again. Sorry, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, any other commission comments on this item number 1? A motion and remember the recommendation, to attach a recommendation to combine properties if we choose. I'm open to a motion. Item 1.
I'll motion to recommend approval.
Specify the condition, or is it assumed at
Is
this
it-
point?
You can say staff's recommended conditions.
Staff's recommended conditions.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second motion to approve with conditions.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Moving on to item number 2 in the public hearing. This is consideration of the .6 acre tract with parcel number 0738020036. Open the portion of the public hearing for anyone who would like to speak in favor of this change. Please come forward and state your name.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I've seen no one to speak in favor. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition on this item number 2? Pam, did you have something you wanted to
A
say?
comment.
And I just wanted to know, I know that the dance school and the catering company have been there for about 5 or 7 years. And I just wanted to know that since you're doing the rezoning now, do you have the intention of renting it out to additional businesses? And if so, what type of businesses would you be renting it out?
Feel like we're at capacity. We're not opening it up to any further renters. We have had a couple of movies who have inquired. The remainder of the building that's not being leased, we have storage items, so we really don't have the capacity to rent anymore. So the answer to that is no.
Yes, sir. Come forward, please state your name.
For 100 Windfair Drive, Tyrone. When I was jogging by and saw the sign, and I thought, oh, that's tonight. Sorry for my late entrance, but the question that I have to y'all is, when the school was closed, one of the main reasons that was at least provided to us by the Board of Education was the lack of sewage capacity. Being a driver down Sonoy Road, I've noticed a significant amount of work along the road, and it said, oh yes, we've got sewage right on down now to Castlewood, and it's looking good. And then I see the sign that now it appears that the school board has rethought, but I haven't heard anything from them as to why they're abandoning their initial statement to the citizens of Tyrone that they were going to reuse that space once the sewage was put in. Have concerns, not that we move forward to any recommendations, but rather until such time as we hear from the school board as to their intent and the abandonment of their previous position, I have great concerns over that, and I appreciate your patience. Thank you.
Thank you. What we'll do is if no one else comes forward, we'll close the public hearing. First off, is there anyone else who'd like to speak in opposition to the change? Close that portion of the public hearing, and if we'd ask, or if you'd come back again, I know we've talked about it some, if you would address.
Yeah, the long-term plan is definitely to reopen Tyrone Elementary. We do have sewer now. We've paid our portion of that to where we can at least get connected when we do move forward. The biggest thing now, as I stated before, are the numbers and needing. We still have open seats in some of our other schools, primarily due to our decrease in numbers from the pandemic. And as soon as we see those numbers come back and those buildings are full, then every intent is to move forward with reopening Tyrone Elementary.
Thank you. Okay, any other staff comments, questions? Okay, I will ask for a motion on item number 2.
Motion to approve item number 2 with staff's conditions.
Motion, is there a second? Second, any further discussion? Favor?
Aye.
Carries. Moving on to item number 3. This is a consideration for rezoning a 0.6 acre tract, parcel number 0738 02034 from R12 to C1. Again, I will ask if there's anyone who would like to speak in support, in favor of this change. Please come forward, state your name. I don't think so.
No, sir.
I'll be glad to. I just
And-
didn't want to.
Unless we have further issues to come forward. We just have to go through each one individually, even though it's all one. Okay, as nobody's come forward, I will close that portion of the public hearing and open the portion of the public hearing for anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this change. None, I will close that portion of the public hearing and again turn to commission comments. Any further questions, issues brought out? Okay, then I will ask for a vote on this item number 3, or a motion, excuse me.
I'll make a motion to approve with staff conditions.
Motion to approve, is there a second?
I second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Carries. And moving on, one more to item number 4. Consideration of rezoning from R12 to C1 for a 0.6 acre tract, parcel number 078020033. Same situations as with the other properties. I'll open the public hearing for anyone who would like to speak in favor of this change. And I will close that portion of the public hearing and now open the portion of the public hearing for anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this change. I will close that portion of the public hearing and now again turn to commission comments, questions, issues, anything further. And I'll ask for a motion.
I'll motion to,
Second. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Carries. Moving on to new business, which doesn't look like we have any. Staff comments.
I do want to recognize our intern, Ethan Knight Scott. Ethan's been with us for a while. This is probably the first time you've seen him here, but he actually was double dipping on some internships. While he was interning with us, he was also doing a policy internship in DC. So he's kind of doing work remotely. So we're lucky to have his skills, and he's been very helpful to the planning department. He actually put together the staff report package for y'all this evening. So we're just very thankful for Ethan's time, and he'll be moving on to bigger and better things at Georgia Tech, where he'll be getting his master's in public policy and urban planning. So yes.
Go Jackets.
Congratulations.
Are there any commission comments?
I just want to say thanks to the citizens who came out today. We don't normally see very many people here, so I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And tell your friends and neighbors to come out and support.
Or oppose if.
Yeah,
if
what's it,
their
oppose? Yeah.
Desire is to. Okay, any other comments, questions, issues? All right, then I'll take a motion for adjournment. We are adjourned.